Thank you for listening in. We will continue with episode 5, part 2, identifying red flags.
One of the how you say red flag in a relationship is overwhelming negativity. Yeah, I understand that in any healthy relationship, definitely there's a disagreement, definitely there's a unhappy moments, but the negative should never outnumber the positive or come even close. Yeah, and and I think most of us here know. I think all of us here knows about Dr. John Gottman, where he came up with the positivity ratio of 5/1 that make a stable relationship. Meaning that for every one negative experience, there's actually 5 positive experience in that relationship. So meaning that the agreements must be more than the disagreement. Yeah, and this actually shows that a healthy couple or happy couples, more likely to share positive feelings and emotion than the unhappy couples. Yeah, who I think unhappy couples, they are more likely to share harsh and negative criticism. So with and why I chose this, and there are so many red flags. Like if you to Google it for it, definitely there's like maybe 20 or more and a few more. But why I chose this overwhelming negativity due to when you are in a negative relationship or the negative is so overwhelmed, many things will happen and it will lead to so many unpleasant things. So
Ustaz, sorry, can you give one example that maybe viewers, listeners can link that example, living example or like some example to your point?
I would say for example, very basic example the partner cook for the partner, contoh spaghetti. Okay, sekali instead of appreciate the partner effort untuk masak spaghetti, and dia cakap, spaghetti, kan I suka makan nasi, why you cook for me spaghetti itu kan contoh satu. Dan ada contoh macam bila the partner share something that happened, rather than focusing on the message yang disampaikan, the partner is like, contoh macam gini dia balik, dia nampaklah satu perempuan tak ada easy link untuk lelaki dia balik, dia nampak satu perempuan tak ada easy link. So dia kata, okay lah, aku ada easy link extra, let me tap for you lah, okay, and aku rugi tak apa. But then the partner cakap, you tolong perempuan, you tolong perempuan lah, so you nak jadi hero to that perempuan lah, something like that, So negativity, overwhelming negativity tu macam every single possible thing kebolehan dia is jadikan negative out of something positive.
Maksudnya macam the partner only sees the world in a negative classes lah. So macam they put an eyeglass with when they look at, because when Ustaz recited that example, I will be like, wow, if I'm the partner, I will be like, wah, baiknya my husband, like so chivalrous gitu. But a person who use up the negative sunglass or glasses will see that as a negative thing lah, will be seen as perempuan.
Betul. So macam ada orang kedanya kebolehan or his expertise or the expertise is macam he can for every problem dia nampak situation. So overwhelming negativity tu is someone for every solution dia nampak ada issues, ada problems. So for me lah, that's a red flag, because macam how do you want to keep a healthy and stable relationship? You will be so tired, exhausted, and that may create macam a sort of distrust punya space. You nak share pun you takut, then everything that you do pun you terfikir-fikir, which is good actually terfikir-fikir, but when it's
not every time,
not every time lah kan. So when it's overwhelmed, the negativity is overwhelmed, the disagreement is more, then the fight is more, then for me that's a red flag lah. And I think this is something that you can easily see.
Tapi kan Ustaz, I think this one kan, dia goes back to the partner. Because let's say the partner ada trauma of the previous relationship. Macam misalnya like for example, she come from she has somebody that actually ada in a past relationship the infidelity. So probably this also goes back to the partner. As if if that partner, right, they can, kalau in terms of too much negativity, if let's say her new partner tolong orang tua, a lady, an elderly, I think if she can differentiate that it's an elderly lady, she wouldn't have jealous lah. She wouldn't have find the negativity out of the positive things that he did. But if he go and tolong a younger girl, a younger lady, of course dia punya insecurity datang lah.
Betul. But then okay, apa respond to that? Bukan saya nak defensive apa. Respond to that, I see two things lah. Yang pertama, does that person, yang girl tu does not deserve our help? Itu satu. And yang kedua, ni semacam like you are blaming your current partner because of other people mistake. Tapi kalau lah that partner every perempuan cantik dia tolong kan, tiba-tiba setiap hari ada je damsel in distress yang dia nak tolong, then there's a pattern to it lah kan.
She can assess the situation lah.
But you don't try to avoid lah to use your past trauma to judge your current partner. Because like you mentioned, like every partner is different, every relationship is unique, and if you bog down with history, but you bog down history, might hamper ataupun dampen your current relationship lah. But that doesn't mean your past trauma tu invalid ataupun you don't learn, you don't derive lessons from
experience lah.
But like I mentioned lah, you have to look at the situation, and the partner pun kena be smart about it lah.
Kena be aware lah.
Kena be aware. And I think so, but again, it's about the ratio lah. I agree with Dr. John Gottman, is that the ratio lah. If it's macam 3/2 ataupun 2 over the positivity 1/5 with the negativity, then risau tu. Nak cakap pun nak apa, nanti tiba-tiba the partner boleh cakap, you ni tak pernah nak share dengan I apa-apa
Dah jadi lain type of red flag
Yes.
A red flag lah.
Okay, wow, interesting. Right,
Yes.
one example of red flag that you want to share with us.
Oh, actually I ada dua. Okay. Okay. One of it is that a very good example of red flag, which I think normally people take this lightly lah, is lack of communication. Lack of communication, because in most of the in most of the seminar that I attended, right, I mean now I attended a lot of seminars. So they actually emphasize how important is communication to facilitate your marriage lah. So which we always take macam we brush this off in our early time when we get to know our partner. So macam okay lah, dia tak boleh communicate, tak apalah, he can change atau dia boleh berubah. I mean yes, it's not something that is very very severe, but it takes an early intervention. So communication during marriage pun and before marriage pun, you have to learn. It's not something that I can just pluck from the sky. There is like 5 love languages. You have to understand each other kan. Because this one, why is lack of communication is a red flag? Because during our marriage, there's a lot of issues in terms of children, our own issues, our marriage issues, interference from outsiders, from family. There are so many things. So like what we mentioned in the previous episode, self-awareness of how much you can actually sit down and communicate to each other, understand not only the words but understand the underlining of the wife emotions, the husband emotion. Because throughout the marriage, we will go through different phases kan. There's a early period, in the middle with children, and then our career tukar. So all this will actually contribute to different type of stress. So communication is very important.
Boleh saya test sikit dia punya that point. Is it lack of communication ataupun poor communication?
It can be two type. Lack of communication and poor communication is that that person dia naturally very quiet. Dia tak suka berbual. So and then a poor communication is in terms that he's there, she or he is there, is looking straight at your face, but dia tak faham apa you cakap, as in dia tak faham maksud tersirat. You don't understand the underlying issues, but she or he is just listening to the words. Okay, I understand your words, but he or she is not emotionally connected to the partner, and cannot understand why is she or he is feeling this way.
So I believe it is not like verbal communication only. Like poor communication or lack of communication must be like the communication as a whole. Like if we say that lack of communication, then how about those who are not talkative? And being very talkative also is sometimes might be a red flag also, too much talking, right? So it is like communication as a whole. I mean, like to be there, present, to discuss the problem, to address the problem, not to sweep problems under the carpet, not to run from the problem. And also communication might have some relationship of how you tackle a problem, how you, what do I say? How
in terms of tackle a problem, right? Some people can I tackle the problem by going silent treatment. I just don't want to talk about it. You brush it off. That is also poor communication skills. And some people may just left the partner hanging lah.
Correct. Okay, right. So it's getting more interesting. But I think when people or couple knows or identify these red flags, right, some of them intend to just ignore it, because when we are in love, we know that there are hormones released into our body that give us colors, give us like the honeymoon moment, that it somehow cloud our judgment. It somehow like we said previously, like cinta tu buta kan, right? So but other than that, Zack, why do you think people what do you think?
I thought it's okay.
Dah lepas.
Okay.
Sebab baru jawab tadi.
I think we mentioned this a bit lah in the beginning of this episode, in this podcast. There are many reasons. I think whether ignore consciously or non-consciously, there can be many reasons. Number one, it can depend on the person's personality. Some people are risk takers, and they feel that they need such adventure in their relationship, and they're fine with it. So I mean, what can we say? I think the more unfortunate situation is when a person is unconscious of the existence of red flags in their relationship, and they continue with it, and only realizing it when when context is different lah, when there's children, when when there's so much investments invested into the relationship. But it hurts to learn that the choice we made is not what we expected. I have to say that. So perhaps the ignoring the red flags can be purposely unconscious also. Faham tak? Macam it's like this is a person whom you chose and you love, and maybe that's where you feel that one day he will change, or one day she will change. Maybe that's,
or is it that we don't trust our judgment? We sense that something is wrong, but we proceed because we have evidences that our partner will like change,
putting hope lah.
Yeah, correct, something like that. Or maybe we think we are overreacting.
I think that overreacting depends on severity. Macam there are some certain red flags memang you cannot ignore, that you, macam like we mentioned, you really need to get help first, and then you proceed with the recovery lah. Like Zack said, how far you are in the recovery, right?
Regardless, all those are technicals that can be done. Those are steps, but underneath all those things, you have to go back to the person who is in the relationship. It hurts to say that, to realize that this is not the relationship. It hurts to realize that I made a wrong choice. Yeah, it hurts. So yeah, I think to our listeners who may be in this relationship, we would like you to know that you're not alone. If you need someone to talk to, there's always help available. You just have to reach out to
Thank
one,
you, Zed.
inshallah.
Ustaz,
Yes.
how about you? Why do you think people ignore red flags?
I have to agree with the points that brought by you Miss J and also Miss Z, is that there are times we just don't trust ourselves. Yeah, will we make the right decision? Did we make the right decision? And I think about when you mentioned about that it hurts and everything, the point is that we don't like to admit when we are wrong, kan? We don't like to admit kita salah. We don't want to admit it. So, at times we prefer untuk orang cakapkan kita yang kita salah rather than kita sendiri cakap macam gitulah. But I think on top of that 2 points is maybe why we ignore the red flags is because you are in the infatuation period. Kan, infatuation period, during the between 6 to 12 months kan, the honeymoon period, the infatuation period. So we tend, because of hormones semua dan sebagainya, everything looks so nice, so we tend to ignore the red flag. Or maybe during the infatuation period we move too quickly. Tiba-tiba dah tunang, tiba-tiba dah kahwin. So we chose to ignore because we already so deep in the relationship. Tak boleh keluar. We cannot get out kan. Ataupun there's no way out. Then that's why we ignore the red flag. And I think Miss A ada mention yang ada hopeful dan sebagainya. Or maybe to rephrase it, we say that we are stuck in a wishful thinking. Fantasy atau just wishful thinking lah kita, husnuzon terlalu tinggi kan.
When did you change?
Ustaz, this one has got to do dengan kita punya expectation kan of that partner. Like you said lah, wishful thinking, fantasy, putting on hope.
Expectation, it's good to have expectation lah kan. Takkan kita dengan partner tak ada expectation kan. But we have to differentiate between expectation and also wishful thinking. I think
Elaborate what is the difference between expectation and wishful thinking.
Okay, expectation, kita expect our partner to be responsible. Contohnya responsible husband or responsible father, for example. Ni saya cakap based on lelakinya experience. Then but wishful thinking tu yang kita expect yang husband kita ni perfect, tak buat salah. Yang kalau ada anak, semua benda he's involved. Kita expect suami tu bila jadi bapa, tiba-tiba dia boleh tukar pampers dengan cepat. Ataupun kita expect macam, ataupun kita ambil pada tadi addict lah, expectation kita expect yang the person address his addiction, address her addiction atau address the problems. Wishful thinking tu dah kahwin dia berubah.
Okay, alright.
Ustaz, maybe can I just ask I always dengar, I mean this is from other ustazahs lah, to enter a marriage without expecting that that whatever happens you redha lah, macam terima lah, is part of yang qada and qadar you.
Apa ustazah yang ajar ni? Give me name. Sorry.
Jangan edit tu ada. Jangan edit. Masukkan. Include it.
I think sama jugalah. Kalau nak to be fair, sama juga kalau apa yang ustazahnya point tu, kalau if the lady enter marriage, dia kena ada unconditional love. Sama jugalah to any man pun, bila dia nak masuk kena ada unconditional love. I think it's unfair, and it's actually quite dangerous. Because this topic about red flag kan, kita berbual ni, it real lah, it is real, and red flag ni dia is dangerous lah kan. It's dangerous, and to enter a relationship tanpa to be redha in everything, I don't think Islam ajar kita macam gitu kan. I think in Islam, correct me if I'm wrong, is that kalau kita nampak kemungkaran, kita kena ubah benda tu. And I think kalau kita nampak je, kita dah kena ubah. Kita kena ubah orang tu. Apa lagi kalau kita nampak benda tu dalam diri kita. If we put ourselves in a dangerous situation, kita kena keluar lah kan. Sama juga bila kita tengah solat, rumah terbakar, tak apa, mati dalam iman. Aku terbakar dalam iman, neraka lagi panas, tak apa, biar aku mati, tak kan. We have to selamatkan diri kita. So I think there are certain thing yang kita perlu reda, but definitely not untuk reda kepada red flag tu, tak jugalah, tak boleh lah. And I think moving on to in addition to that point, I think why do we ignore red flags kan, is that ni yang paling seram lah, when we see the red flags as minor.
Tak signifikan lah, insignificant lah,
tak ada apa-apa je. Dah ada pukul je, sebab dia tak tahu macam mana nak express. Nanti bila dah kahwin, aku tahulah ubah. Something like that lah, buat pukul ke, ataupun dia belum jumpa aku lagi, dia belum kenal aku lagi, ni dah kenal aku ni, nanti boleh berubah. Tu wishful thinking, campur minor.
So macam can say that is in denial lah.
You can minimize the red flags lah. If you minimize it, you memperlekehkan sesuatu yang actually very important. It's just like fire lah. You think that alah, kecil je api ni, but you just need a simple trigger such as wind or simple something.
Carpet kan?
Carpet you just explode.
To explode. So I think tu je lah for me. Macam kenapa ignore is mungkin infatuation, we move too quickly, we wishful thinking, we don't trust ourselves, the reflex seems minor, but I think ultimately I have to agree with Mizin, your point lah, is that we don't like to admit that we are wrong.
That's underlying.
So kalau lah we are brave enough, ataupun honest enough, then we will not ignore lah. This is what I believe.
Or maybe this braveness only come later, when we are already few years in the marriage. Then that's it, my choice is wrong, so I have to stop this marriage, I have to cut off this negativity or this negative influence, negative aura, negative whatever thing. So it comes later, but not in the beginning of the marriage. And like what Ustaz said, like if you are dumb enough to accept the red flag, to agree to be don't want to be heartbroken at the earlier part of the love, we want to still proceed with the marriage, and then we will eventually be more heartbroken afterwards, right? Okay, now we talked just now about the minor red flag, or something that we don't think it is a red flag, it might be something one-off time. So I have few examples in mind that I want to discuss. Right, for example,
Yes.
What do you think when your partner doesn't see or doesn't take you as the first person in the mind? For example, when you know that you are in love, right? So we tend to update everything. The first person that we update is our partner. The first person that we look out for is our partner. But for example, when you are driving your car and then suddenly you meet with an accident, your partner is not the first person that come into your mind to seek for help. Or when you see something interesting, when you see like some promotion of selling things, you don't think to buy that thing for your partner, but you think of buying that thing for another person. So you are not the first person that come into the mind of your partner. So is that a red flag, or is that like, what's your opinion?
Okay, my opinion kan, that one is not, it can be like 50-50 lah, depends on the situation. If let's say the car break down, definitely he will call the mechanic. I won't ask him to call me also. Kan?
What do you need to do?
But in terms of service, doing service lah, like macam, like for example, buying food, and if he is like in front of me, buying in front of my favorite food, but he think of somebody else, that one I may or may not feel offended. Okay, because he knows that's my favorite food, but he think about other people. But it's not something like a very significant red flag lah. It's just like macam you nak manja-manja, but you know people tak tahu nak manjakan you, you know, or you want to be whiny. Yeah. And if let's say for example he wants to go, he have maybe appointment between meeting a friend dengan meet you for something, let's say for a function, so who he prioritize, you know. So I think that one isn't, even though it's not significant, but like what Ustaz said, if it happens every time, hati pun sakit lah. Betul tak? Yeah.
This one is personality and also the agreement between the couple lah. Right?
Yeah, so
I think,
we
last
should
week,
talk about
yeah.
this when about like before we really get serious into relationship. So what are the things that we need to do to understand, right? So Zack, how about emotional baggage? Is that a red flag? For example, someone who failed their past relationship, putus tunang, putus cinta, or
I think
in
this is something
divorce.
that Ustaz has already explained just now about
Previous trauma.
You can't really apply your previous trauma onto your
current
relationship. Yeah, it may not be fair for your current relationship.
kadang-kadang, but
is
it's sometimes
a red
difficult kan to manage.
because the trauma
lah.
is valid, the trauma is real. You have gone through that is real. And I think if a person is working on it, then it's not a cause for concern. However, it is important for the other partner to be more empathic towards the situation lah, towards the other partner who have gone through the trauma. This reminds me of hometown cha-cha-cha. Okay, never mind.
But this one kan, maybe Zack, if you don't mind, I just add on this previous trauma, it also depends on the self-awareness of the other party lah. Let's say there are two parties that is facing this previous relationship trauma. They are being left by somebody, I mean they have a failed relationship, so both of them are healing. Right? So I think this one also depends, that means both of them have to be aware of the partner punya previous relationship, what happened, and maybe possible to avoid that that situation that may trigger
To be more
empathy.
to be more wary of the trigger points of the partner lah.
Continuing
So is this
from
a
what-
red flag? I don't think so lah.
Okay, continuing from what A mentioned just now, we must be aware of what triggered our partner, so we won't be digging or triggering them. Ustaz, how about having a partner, a mysterious partner or secretive partner who don't want to share things, who not really don't want like hard to share things, hard to share experience, hard to share stories? Is that a red flag, or is that a boundaries that the person put? This is my personal that I don't want to share with you. And when you already decide to be in the relationship, and that boundaries of this is me, this is my personal, and you can't enter it, so is that a red flag or no?
I think it's hard to put it definitely as a red flag, because the mysterious ataupun ada boundary, how to sometimes it's just the person punya preference tau. I mean like if kalau that person memang tak suka share benda, secretive, and he's being fair tau. Maknanya being fair tu, he's secretive with his partner, he's secretive with his parent, with his family, with his friend. Memang dia semula jadi dia secretive. So how can I say as a red flag kan? Memang dia punya nature sebegitu. And but kalau secretive tu because of dia ada buat salah, then definitely it's a red flag lah. But and at the same time mungkin juga the secretive tu because the partner doesn't create a safe space for him or her, to share, to expose him or herself betul kan, to bear herself, let's say if I'm with a partner lah, that my partner dia tak create a safe space for me to share. How can you expect me to share? How can you expect me to be sharing macam benda? And also same time juga, kalau everything kena share, I think it's good lah. And I know few couples yang they really take they are proud of apa yang wife aku semua aku tahu, apa yang husband aku buat aku tahu kan. But I don't know, is that an indicator to a healthy relationship or good relationship? I'm not sure. But also it doesn't paint a good picture on the partner yang sikit-sikit nak check phone, sikit-sikit nak check email, sikit-sikit nak check social media partner dia, sikit-sikit gitu. And for what? I don't know lah, for apa pun. So is it a red flag, a bit mysterious? If it's to hide something illegal, something your wrong action, yes, it is definitely a red flag. But if it's just preference, if it's just protecting other people punya keaiban, ataupun keaiban lah, sebab kita ada kawan-kawan yang kita mungkin nak kena jaga aib dia, and ataupun memang kita rasa doesn't feel comfortable walaupun dia isteri kita, walaupun dia suami kita, just because maybe we have certain pemikiran. For me lah, personally, I don't think it's a red flag lah.
It's like respecting his or her privacy.
Yes, something like that lah. Contoh I can give is that, for example lah, contohnya husband share dia punya password tu dia punya phone dekat dia punya wife kan. And the wife dia ada pilihan, either hari-hari dia nak check, ataupun every now and then dia nak kena check, ataupun dia nak check every single thing untuk cari masalah. Dan again, it's bogged down to that wife punya personality lah kan, ataupun objektif, ataupun what she wants to achieve. But that doesn't mean the wife tu tak perlu ambil tahu apa berlaku. Being mysterious, being secretive, tak share apa-apa benda doesn't allow the other partner tu untuk being apathetic gitu. Okay, so I want to to be fair lah, being secretive doesn't mean that the partner can be relaxed, apathetic. Kena ambil tahu,
but respect boundaries lah.
But know when to stop lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, right. So we talk a lot about red flags today. What is red flags? How people face red flags? How they react, and why some just ignore it. So I think it's about that. Anything anybody wants to add? Angkat tangan. Alright, nothing. Okay, so before we end this episode, can I have one takeaway from each one of you? So I shall start with, siapa nak start dulu?
You.
Aku start dulu.
Ya, dah dengar semua benda kan, macam kita dah share macam-macam benda.
Haus.
Okay. Right. So I think that's all for this episode. So before we end this episode, I would like to share with everyone a doa that is very near, very close to this topic. So while we are finding our soulmate, while we are searching and asking ourselves whether this person is really meant for us or not, okay, there is a dua that Rasulullah SAW teach us. So among the meaning of the dua, right, we say to Allah, oh Allah, you are more powerful than I am, you know what I don't know, you see what I don't see, so please show to me if this person is good for me, good for my religion, good for my livelihood, good for my future. Please make it easy for us, bless us. But if this person is not good, is bad, is evil for our religion, our livelihood, for our future, for ourselves, please divert it from us. Okay, keep it away from us. But when Allah give the sign that you have to keep yourself away from this person, that means that is the red flag that Allah might want to highlight to you. Acknowledge it. Do not
ignore it.
Do not question your judgment, right? And yeah, Ada, can I have your takeaway?
I follow through from what your doa. You can also make doa lah. to protect that person heart from possibility of other people entering his or her heart. So this one is about to protect your home. Your partner is your home, kan? So before that, like what we mentioned, if you ignore the red flags, be ready to embrace heartache to come.
Zack,
Okay, I hope that with this episode we don't encourage people to just identify red flags and also just stop the relationship lah. I hope that this is an awareness that red flags exist. It's good for us to be aware of such flags in ourselves as well as in our partners. And I think my takeaway is actually it takes courage to walk away from someone whom you love. Sometimes in life we just need to flush out the toxic out of our system, so that we can continue our life with healthier mind and soul, inshallah.
insyaAllah. Thank you, Zack. Ustaz, your takeaway that you want to share with us.
Okay, I think I agree with what Ms. J mentioned about the doa. I think this is called doa istikharah, kan? Because sometimes we are unsure of ourselves, we are unsure of our partner, and the best thing is to ask guidance from Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. And what I like most about the doa is that it's not for ourselves only, but for our religion and our livelihood. So maybe the partner is good for us, but it's not for our religion, and then we have to really consider it lah. I mean the red flag lah at our partner. But okay, from the key takeaway lah that I would say for myself from all this discussion, the sharings made for this episode, is that I believe that red flags is not a relationship hurdle that you're supposed to cross. It's not a problem that you can easily solve. It's not an issue that can be addressed overnight. But definitely, but it's a red flag. You are not supposed to cross it lah. And if you decide to ignore it, like I mentioned earlier, then you have no one else to blame but yourself. Because you and I like what Ms. Zack mentioned, is that you have to be brave, you have to be honest, you have to be courageous in order to do in dealing with the red flags. And if you are unsure to do or not sure, if you are afraid to do it alone, then do seek help. Do seek help to get a second opinion, expert opinion, but you have to make the decision yourself ultimately. So I mentioned it's a red flag. Stop and don't cross it, and ultimately and just make dua lah that Allah SWT point you to the right way, insyaAllah. Allah Ta'ala.
Outro, Zack.
Right. Thank you so much everyone for your time and for such insightful and beneficial perspective and thoughts. For our listeners, if you need any assistance, any help with regards to your relationship, or you need a listening ear, there are services available for you to tap on. Inshallah, we'll put it in our description. Alright, Overspilled Milk, the podcast, is a platform for raw and candid opinion about life experiences. We celebrate the oops and the whys of life. We notice the milk in the bottle, and we also hope to learn and appreciate the spilled milk, as well as understand why and how the spill happened and resolve to do better in life. Overspilled Milk is produced with you in mind, you who are figuring out life as we are. Till the next episode. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.